everybody, I'm Audrey Moore with the Audrey Helps Actors podcast, and this is episode number 99. Feeling fine because it is Self-Tape May. Self-Tape May, Self-Tape May. Yay, today we are living the dream. We are talking with one of my dearest favorites, Aalok Mehta. Aalok is a world-class actor on Broadway, TV, film, commercials. You can see him now on his series regular role, spoiler alert, of Barnaby on The Chosen. We discuss this episode, what to do during the slow times, which is probably going to be useful if the strike happens, which it seems like by the time this episode airs, we will know. If so, you're gonna like this episode because you know who has survived a strike and come out thriving? Aalok Mehta. It is Self-Tape May and it starts today. Yay, 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 yay. 16 tapes, 1 month, starting today. Can you do it? Yes, you can, but it only counts if you are wearing the bobby pin. Woo! Bobby pin, bobby pin. Pin it to your bobby pin. Or if you show me a bobby pin before the self-tape, or just like you can just like write bobby pin on a piece of paper, just write a little piece of paper. It says bobby pin, or say it. You can be like, hey, bobby pin. And then you can continue on with your self-tape. But every video has to have the hashtag Self-Tape May, hashtag Self-Tape May. And you have to do something with a bobby pin in every video so I know that you are not a cheater, pumpkin eater, and pre-recording these in April like a little cheater bee. No cheating. Okay, rules one more time. Upload your self-tapes on Instagram with the hashtag Self-Tape May. Include your bobby pin either on you, or show it, or write it down, or say it. If it is a real self-tape, or it is from a movie or a show that hasn't come out yet, mute it. All real auditions, mute them. Otherwise, there are no rules. Do whatever kind of self-tape you want. Work on what light setup you want, or challenges you want, or make you remember why in God did I choose this profession. Oh, I remember it's because I love acting. And if you finish 16 by midnight on May 31st, you will be entered to win the random drawing for the biggest prize yet. We've got casting director meetings. We've got incredible headshots. We've got a Casting Network's premium annual membership, a year of Castability, acting coaches, a session with self-tapes here, and so much more. MOORE stands for Audrey Scores More. Go to selftapemay.com to register for free. Free, my favorite price, free to be entered in the prize package. Selftapemay.com. What are you going to record first? I have a suggestion. Lord of the Rings. Every year I do like a little suggestion, like I would love to see tapes from this thing last year, The Witcher. This year, Lord of the Rings. LOTR. Loader. I want to see some elf ears. I want to see some wizard staffs. I want to see golems. I want to see all of the things. You can do books. You can do movies. You can do TV shows. Please sing a song. Get out there, record your first tape, bring your bobby pin, hashtag Self-Tape May. This week's podcast is brought to you by Castability. If you need sides for your Self-Tape May, get some free ones from them. Castability, free, my favorite price, free sides, free sides. Also, by Abundance Bound to help you get your money together during the strike, people. Listen, go handle your money. Do it! Also, by Self-Tapes here. If you just want to practice Self-Tape May with a coach, if you want to practice working with a coach, which I actually think is so smart, if working with a coach is going to become part of your audition process, now is the time to start working with somebody and get a language together, understand how you work together, develop a relationship. Self-Tapes here. All right, I hope you're setting up your first self-tape for Self-Tape May, and then I hope that you book it. Book that tape.
Audrey helps actors because they don't know anything.
Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey Moore with the Audrey Helps Actors podcast, and today we have
Aalok Mehta.
I just knew we were going to have the most fun today. So tell everyone your landscape. Which unions are you a part of? How long have you been part of the unions? How often do you audition for what types of things?
My first acting job was May 2000. Okay, unions,
Yes.
SAG-AFTRA, and Actors Equity. I don't get like a huge volume of auditions. There's periods like during episodic season where it's like really hot and I'll have like, a few a week sometimes for, good guest stars. And then there's months. So it does ebb and flow, but I just got upgraded to a fractional series regular on the show that I'm on.
I just am so thrilled. I mean, you are auditioning and have as long as I've known you for commercials, voiceover, musical theater, network, dark films, really weird, wacky, funny stuff. And it's really cool to have watched your career have its life form, like have its life over the last 20 years. I think it's really inspiring in conjunction with not just your professional life, but your personal life. And then now to come to this time in your life and have booked some of the best roles yet and to get this news.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I think now I'm at a point now where I'm like, I'm not celebrating the highs or kind of being upset about the lows and the ebbs and flows as much as maybe I would. It's grounded. It's like I still have kids and I still have other things. It's like you think these things will change your life, and it may on a certain level. What's not pictured is like 20 years and all those, hundreds of thousands of dollars of rent in LA and New York and
so much moving.
Hitting the pavement and all of that. And it's not necessarily like, oh, this is a validation of that, because I also know this also is transient. Mm-hmm. The in-between, even in the most successful actors, the in-between is like the majority of your life.
Yeah. This season's focus is the space between the job. Instead of calling it like an actor dry spell, I'm trying to reframe it as the space between the jobs, more like music. And between notes, you have the space. You gotta rest, and that's what makes music happen. So I'm trying to normalize and reframe the experience of the working actor to be less like booking and like this drama that happens in between booking, and more like, well, no, you have booking and then you have not booking and then you have some booking and then you have not booking. And a lot of times there's a long stretch of time between the bookings, years for many people.
Yeah.
And sometimes there is very little space between the bookings and you get like on a pop, which is great.
The way to survive, in my opinion, the in-between is just to like, for me, downgrading the importance of booking as a means of self-validation. Because if your worth is truly just connected to like booking acting jobs, then even if you're booking, it's never going to be enough. It's kind of like the same thing with like money, I think. It's hard to talk about this without getting philosophical, a little bit.
I think.
Yeah, of course you are. You are Audrey Helps Actors. But yeah, figure shit out in your personal life that makes you happy, whatever the hell that is. And that's how you survive,
Yeah, but that's its own journey too, right? I remember being in therapy when it was 2007, and I was just so panicked about my career, my life, all the things. And the therapist said to me, Audrey, I'm going to introduce a concept to you called building your life. You build your life. It isn't here already. It's something that you're going to do over time. And it was because I was so tortured that I wasn't like, now I'm rich and now I'm famous and now I have a love of my life and now I travel the world and now it's like I was so upset that it wasn't already in existence. And so I think it's hard to have the perspective that just like you build your career over time, you will also build your life, and hopefully together you have a career that has a more balanced experience to it.
Yeah, that's everything. I think that's the most important thing, is to be comfortable in the now and the journey, and I mean, it's the biggest cliche, but there's a reason why that is. It just goes back to the idea of like envisioning fame, success as the end game. And I think that's the part that sometimes precludes the happiness in the now and ultimately the fame and the success. It pulls you away from it. That's the irony. It's like when you stop seeking that as the end game, you're going to be closer to that. I mean, that's just, not to get too philosophical.
Life is cyclical. There are ups and downs, right? And so you're going to have times where you are in bang, and you're going to have times when you are in bust. And if you overvalue the bang, you will also overvalue the bust. Personally, I work very hard to treat people as much the same as possible when they're having career highs and when they're having career lows. I think it's also healthier for me, because if I'm not valuing anyone's success or failure in too many highs or lows, then that's also going to be reflective on my own experience when I'm having high highs and low lows. The waves go in, the waves go out. The sun comes up, the sun comes down. We breathe in, we breathe out.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it's also how we perceive the other work we do, the survival jobs, and creating that sort of oneness in how we perceive those mechanisms by which we survive the ebb and flow of the acting profession. And I think it's good too, because then you also downgrade the importance of it in a sense that you kind of look at it, this is just a job. If you really approach it that way, like a carpenter, you're not any different than anyone in any other profession. And I think that's important to have that humility. Think of it as like work, not as like fanfare and fame and money. All of this is my life. All of this is me.
It's my life experience as a whole.
Exactly.
Yeah. Tell me about the importance to your financial health as well as artistic to being an actor who has been able to work in commercial, voiceover, theater, and television and film and music.
I would say there's been times in my life where I've felt like too much of a hyphenate and like not giving any one thing enough attention. I have felt like that pull sometimes where I spread myself thin, but it goes back to the same thing. Like once you kind of decide like it's all one, it's all part of your experience, it can all sort of contribute to your financial well-being. I was a musician first, and my brother, Aalok Mehta, he wrote a movie called American Chai in 2000. And so I got into acting by, essentially being handed the lead role of a movie that ended up winning Slam Dance and all these things. So here I was getting auditions with no training and craft other than being a lead of this film. And, so there's some luck there, some Nepo baby, as Jamie Lee Curtis said at the SAG Awards.
Right.
But, I was given this opportunity and it ended up becoming a successful movie. But this older Indian actor, he says to me, he's like, make sure you are kind to everyone you meet on your rise, because those are the same people you will meet during your fall. But it's like, I will always think of that. And it's so true, because this guy had experienced ups and downs and he's still acting and he's killing it, but he had periods where, and I hadn't experienced that. Moving out to LA, I was getting these opportunities and all that, but my craft wasn't there. So I had a different issue. Like I didn't know how to audition. I didn't know necessarily how to do roles that were not a musician. Exactly. Exactly.
Written by your brother.
Exactly. This past year on The Chosen, like I had this scene where like there's no way I could like fake it, in a sense of like I had to bring a lot of depths of my personal life and emotion. Otherwise, it just would have felt false for me. And I started thinking about that young actor who didn't have training, but the training that young actor had, my craft at that point was the other people, the listening, not necessarily the technical analysis of scenes and things. And, that eventually I had to learn over 2 decades. But all I could do was like be. That really is what helped me this past year, reconnecting with that, but also now having the training and understanding.
Yeah, you can merge the two together.
Yeah. And, and just maybe checking in to make sure you're not losing that, just something that connects you to like being human. To get personal, my mom passed away a little over a year ago, and my auditions just changed after that, because I was like really connected to like the transience of this life and what's important. And when you grieve like that and you've been through it, like it puts things in perspective a little bit right afterwards, I was just like, my tapes just got better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm recommending to all people, when family members die, just
Your work
self-tape
gets
as
better.
much as, your work gets better, just so you know.
And tell me about having to take other streams of income in terms that aren't acting related. And I remember being worried for you because your heart was really heavy for a couple of years there. And
Definitely.
you had some incredible career highs in your life. Yet, I remember these metamorphoses that we go through in our careers.
Yeah. I mean, I was done. I thought it was over. Like, I literally thought acting is over. What made that period very hard is like, there is a certain consciousness that you're in when you're just like in survival mode. And also, like, we had young kids. So there's like sleep deprivation. Like, the kids are young and it's like, shit, I got to figure shit out. I just, we have to, as a family, just kind of like make it happen. Like, we have kids who will need to go to college and all of that and healthcare and everything. So a lot of that stress is similar stress that everyone who has young kids who may not have like a stable career or a career that is variable, income streams that are variable, not like this is your job, this is your annual salary. So a lot of people have that, actors or not. So a lot of the stress was that, and it's just navigating that. It's just, you just have to accept that, and I think having support systems, family, friends who also get it and humble you, but it was a process. A lot of ego, a lot of relinquishing of an ego, and a lot of kind of redefining what's important. Like, it'd be great to be on a series, but it's more important that like I survived, and like, and there's pride in that. And I think it takes time, but you connect to the joy of just surviving and supporting yourself. And in a lot of ways, people are living in a dream world, when they come out of college, and they may consciously believe like, okay, I'm going to make it. There's no plan B, but there's just the reality of life. And I think people need to know that that is always going to be there. Even if you're Tom Cruise, like, you're going to have years where you're going to have to fight to get a movie made,
Yes.
And prior to that period, like right after I had kids, where there was a struggle and there was doubt and all that, I had never done anything really that was
Arts.
not the arts. Yeah. And all of a sudden I was an adult with 2 kids and had to figure this out and kind of come out on the other side. And there may be more periods of, downturns in the future.
Surely.
But at least now I'm like less connected to like, oh my God, now this is the rest of my life, like I have some success. So, being prepared for that and seeing like a chess player, 3, 4, 5, moves ahead.
I just wanted to say, I do remember that time. And I remember like wanting to just hug you and feeling so much empathy, because I can so relate to that experience of just feeling like it's just not happening. Like, it's just not happening. I would love to talk a little bit about these support systems, because one of my missions is really talking about support, about financial health and education as artists, and also your community, whatever that is, whether that's friends, whether that's family, and being there for each other. Because I've been using the example of Oprah when she started doing her Favorite Things episodes. She used to bankrupt companies because they would be on her show and then they would get so much demand and they would say yes to so much demand, and they couldn't actually expand to that level of growth. They weren't set up with a support system for that amount of growth. And so these companies went bankrupt. So then Oprah started changing and saying, hey, I want to have you on the Favorite Things. Are you ready for the Oprah effect?
Can you scale?
And when I think about the longevity of this career and this path, this lifestyle, I'm always trying to talk about it as a lifestyle choice. And I like what you're saying about like a holisticness, that you have like a whole self, and all these various artistic pursuits are a part of the whole. And the support systems that we individually set up for ourselves, I think, are really indicative to the experience as a whole in this career, and not just the support systems for the growth spurts, but also where are the support systems for the droughts?
Yeah, I have gratitude for, the support that I've gotten, and I have gratitude for the support that I haven't gotten, and because they're both teachers, and they're both, but it's also like I recognize my privilege that, I was educated and, and I have family that loves me, and God forbid if things didn't work out, I could go and live with my family, and, that's never the plan, but yeah, obviously it's different. It's how you behave during the struggle as an actor, and the intensity is different for everyone. It's so personal. It's so individual. But sometimes you really do need to lean on people in your group, in your soul group, and your brain trust, or whatever you want to call it, to kind of like manage the downturns and the periods where it's difficult. But ultimately, it's like you're alone in this, like you're gonna die alone. Like it's not, you do have to figure it out yourself eventually. And for me personally, I would say that support has been like a crutch at times too, dare I say. It's because it doesn't always result in like the superhero origin story, but that's not like the reality. The reality is like more people succeed when they do have support. You have to deal and play with the hand you've been dealt. I'm grateful for periods where I had that support, but I'm also grateful now that I've decided not to live in a way where I do have any support. And that sort of taught me like, okay, I need to go and be a small business owner, or I have to like do more gigs where I'm doing audio production. And that's kind of something that I learned kind of later in life. Some people learn it right away because that's their reality. They're working at 12, 13, 14 years old, to survive, So I don't really have like specific advice for anyone, but just for me, I value and treasure that I do have the love and the support of extended family and friends. And I think community is very important in like my culture as well. And Anisha and I both, my wife and I both kind of have some of those older world values where it really was a marriage of families. So we're very lucky to have like 1 million first cousins, and, and they're all very close, and aunts and uncles and whatnot. And I'm very, very lucky. And I didn't realize that probably is what helped me be somebody who values community outside of family. In like the Hindu marriage ceremony, one of the steps, there's like 7 steps around the fire, and one of them is about community. And it really is like, you will together build a community, and that will help you prosper. And that's kind of like one of the tenets and like missions of like how to be a good person. And everyone has their own set of ethics and morals, and they can change day to day and philosophy to philosophy, but I feel like that's like a common denominator amongst most philosophies, is like create beyond yourself, like collectivism over individualism. That's what you do here with this podcast, and I think that's like awesome.
But wait, Aalok, dearest, sweetest spirit child of the universe, here to bless us all, wait, I have to interrupt you.
Help me. I need some help.
And now it's time for listener questions.
I'm so scared.
This listener question is brought to you by Castability. Download the app for free to get free original sides every day for the month of May. They've even promised they're going to write some Lord of the Rings style sides, you guys. How about that? I better see you posting them, okay? Do me a favor and do hashtag self-tape May, but also do hashtag self-tape May, LOTR, so I can find your Lord of the Ring tapes. I will repost them. Download the app for free to get free original sides. Then, while you're on Castability app, you can upload your self-tapes there for the next level experience of getting feedback from real casting professionals. If you want, that's available to you. So, Castability.Actor/self-tape May 23. That's a lot. It's going to be in our show notes. Don't panic. For free sides every day in May. And for this special Self-Tape May $25 offer, Audrey10 is a good little 10% off promo code. This listener question is also brought to you by Abundance Bound.
If I could get actors to do one thing, honestly, the very first thing I would have every actor do is get their fucking money together. This is a crazy, chaotic industry. And I want you to know that this abundance-bound financial empowerment program is actually tailored to actors' needs. It is made by an actor for an actor who is at least as passionate about your continued success as I am. Okay, it's not just like a flash money course. It's actually a long-term support system. And I want you to know that has been truly a lifeline for me. The long-term inclusion, the support system that I have been leaning on, it has been foundational. She helps actors work on understanding, planning, and managing finances. Please, for me, honestly, for me, check out Abundance Bound. Visit abundancebound.com/financial-empowerment for more information. Don't even worry about that. Just follow the link on the show notes, please. All right, call us with your strike stories or questions at 667-ACTOR-70. That's 667-ACTOR-70.
Hi, Audrey. This is Katie from Los Angeles. I just want to say listening to your podcast has been very, very helpful, especially when I'm just like, oh, I'm not getting anything. I'm moping around. I'm like sad. And then I like listen to your podcast. I'm like, okay, get your booty up and start doing something. But anyways, my question is, if I'm getting auditions that are like, I don't identify as that, or there's like a specific one where it's like, we need a character that doesn't have like a limb, but like they're giving me that audition, like how do I go about that? Do I say, I don't think I'm right for this, I shouldn't audition for this, or do I just audition? Like how do I go about that? And how do I talk to my agent about that? Look forward to hearing from you.
All right, everyone. So I'm so glad we're having this conversation now during what I'm guessing is a strike/multiple strikes on the horizon, because your reps are going to have more time. And as your reps have more time, a thing you could do is check in with your reps. They're going to be just as slow as you are and panicked. So depending on your relationship with your rep, you could send an email, you could ask for a phone call, you could offer to take them out to drinks or coffee or a meal or something, but always offer and keep your expectations low, but your enthusiasm high. And the time to actually have that conversation is before you get those auditions. So a really great strategy is to say, hey, I know you've been getting me so many great auditions. I've had some that I felt like, and I've been grateful for them. I wonder how you feel about the possibility of, on the rarest of occasions, passing an audition if I truly feel that there's something about it that I'm pretty against. Like maybe I don't want to be raped in a movie, or maybe I don't want to play characters that are being racially profiled. Any of those conversations, you want to have them before the auditions come, because that gives you a permission, a little history to go, hey, thanks so much for this audition. Remember when we had that conversation about passing? So this is actually one I'm going to pass on. Now, you can tell them why. You also don't have to. It depends on your relationship with your representation. If it's something that you truly do not feel comfortable doing and they freak out on you, then that's good information. And I would say not a great long-term relationship. That's what we call a red flag. All right, I hope that's helpful.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
One of the things that I think is so beautiful about this conversation is I'm hoping that as we sit on this side of your journey with this wonderful news and talk so extensively about so many ups and downs, I'm hoping that it can give levity and soothing and relief to people who find themselves in various points of journey that you've already lived, of having maybe a first big bang and the excitement of that, and then figuring out what's next, and then having this family and feeling like you're crushing and kicking ass, taking names, and then what are we doing? And then having a pandemic hit when your wife is a extremely consistent theater actress, and that had a profound effect on your family unit. And I couldn't believe you guys lived in Texas for so long. I thought I was like, the Metas go to Texas, a rom-com family special.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, And well, that was the period where like it takes a village, and I had 2 young kids, and Anisha was doing Monsoon Wedding in Delhi and in India. And, and I needed that support. I was like, we need to like regroup. And I'm so grateful for that, because like I booked the Chosen in Texas as a local hire. I got a Texas agent, and I was still auditioning, and I was still traveling back to LA and go to New York. And had I known then what I know now about this moment in time being normal, because during the pandemic, it kind of became normalized. Like you just go and live, with your families and however and wherever, and self-tape and do all that. Yeah. But, leaving LA in 2018, that was, depressing. And it was like the first time in my life, because I feel like I was like blessed to be kind of wired in a way where I wasn't conscious of being like ever depressed. And maybe I had periods and moments, but it was something that was very common, I felt, in my experience. But then I really felt down. But that was my origin story in a way, again at however old. But I'm so grateful, because that's what got me this gig, and then it just got sort of bigger overseas and now. And that happened with a few actors who were like local hires, and they were there at that time. And then, they're back in LA or New York, and, now are not.
What I think is so beautiful about that is those lucky SOBs who had Aalok in all of your training and all of your experience and all of your compassion and skill, like sitting in Texas, ready to be just picked like a delicious ripe fruit. And how really, truly lucky I feel they were that you were there, right time, right place. And I am not at all surprised that you have been continually upgraded and upgraded. And that's one of the most fun parts of watching actors whose work you know, and you know what they're capable of, and watching them get opportunities where people of like actual financial value are able to reward you for all of what you have been capable of for so long, and really acknowledge what an asset you are, and show that up with some cash that you are well deserving of, because you have been brightening rooms and ensembles for as long as I have known you. I love that you went to Texas to go work. And I also love, because we talk a lot about local hire on this show, and going to move home and working locally, though you are an exception in terms of a local hire turning into something so great, it is not, to me, at all coincidental, because you have always stayed exceptional. You've always continued to grow and be excited about growth and get better and show up for your work.
Wow. Thank you. That's there was a moment during that I was almost about to cry. So, but no, that's really, really great and validating to hear. And I don't know.
You were chosen.
This is exactly. I was chosen. Exactly. Right. It's a special group. It really is a special group on this show. I'm so grateful for that moment, and and also being in New York after being in LA for many years. And one person's LA is not another person's LA, and one person's New York is not another person's New York. But for the type of actor my wife and I are, people who do and value theater and film TV, like it is a good place for us to be here. And also just growing up on the East Coast, there's a certain dynamic for us that just kind of works here better and helps us kind of be our best selves. And that's what it is. It's like finding a way to be comfortable, whether that's, the ebb and flow, the in-between periods. Nowadays with self-tape, like it doesn't matter, if you're in Texas or you're in Oregon or you're in Atlanta or wherever, if you can find a way to compete, with everybody across the nation. And, the pandemic kind of really helped that self-tapes and everything. It really is a great time right now because of that. I feel like I know you do the whole self-tape May thing, and when I have this film that's going to come out, I will submit that.
Yeah, great. I can't wait.
Yeah, and that was also right after the passing of my mom, where I just felt like I was just like I didn't give a fuck about booking. I just was like, I'm just going to do this and just let loose, and that's when I booked the this film.
Opposite.
Peter Dinklage. And
great character.
Yeah, which just premiered at the Berlin Film Festival. And yeah, it was just like you do a million self-tapes, and this was like, just a few pages or 2 pages, I think, was the audition. It was like a breakup scene, and I'm lucky to have my wife read with me, so we have some reality, and and she's a great actor, so we were able to go there. And then in the scene in the movie, I have no spoilers, but it was Peter Dinklage was my scene partner in that, and my wife also was doing a job that was paying the bills on Broadway, and I was free to just kind of like do the work. And sometimes you're not, and sometimes you do your best work we're in a stressful period too. Like during The Chosen, my audition, I was like miserable, kind of, and did it. So there's no right or wrong.
You were
to any
looking
of this.
to be chosen. You were so miserable.
Exactly.
You're like, choose me, somebody,
exactly.
please
Heal me. Yeah, it's really touching to hear you say all of that, because life is long. I mean, it's short, but it's long. Careers are long. It's a marathon. You hear that all the time. And it is true. It's like everyone out there, like if you are kind of living and dying by, whether you book or not, eventually that's going to catch up to you, I think. Unless you're blessed enough to like always be booking, and there are people like that. But at some point in their lives, they'll have to figure out how to, because it is a long career. And then what that guy said to me, like be nice to everybody on your way up, because those are the same people you'll meet on the way down. Like, whether I believe, it was less about like being kind to people on set, because, whatever, that should be a default position, but more about the fact that there is an up and down. Like that is just the reality. If I could talk to my younger self, I would just be like, just chill out. Don't worry. What's going to happen will happen. And, do your best to kind of like know what you can control and what you can't. It's like, it's only failure if you like decide that it is failure. Right?
Yeah. I love that. That's a really fantastic perspective. People's priorities change. People's lives change. And what you wanted for yourself at 16 versus what you want for yourself at 25 versus 35 versus 65. Like, it only sounds healthy to me that those might change. And in fact, if what you want for yourself at 16 hasn't grown or shifted or changed in 30 years, I guess so long if it's making you happy, then live your best life. But if the distance between that feels torturesome and is making the whole of your life experience upset, then I just have always felt like, wow, it's not worth it. Like, and it's hard, I think, for people, because I'm like, no surprise, I love acting. So when I'm like, for acting, you're gonna turn into that for acting? And it's, I think, hard for people to digest, but I'm like, it's acting. I love what I do, and I think it's extremely important, and I am so grateful to do it. But I am not interested in a punishing, miserable life for an actor, to be an actor. Like, I don't, there are things I think worth sacrificing a life experience for the pursuit of, but I'm not convinced that acting is one of them. And I think if people are going to choose this lifestyle and continue to choose this lifestyle, I hope that they choose to do it because it continues to make the whole of their life experience more pleasurable and valuable and rewarding.
There you go.
There you go. He says yes.
There you go.
Okay, good.
Yes to all of it. And I know you personally, so I know you're not just like when you hang out with Audrey, it's not just like acting, auditions, like whatever. We do, like, it's important to just like have a life and not make it your everything. And we're told this lie, kind of like the only way you'll succeed is if like, you drive like 3 hours to like, the ice rink and skate from 5 a.m. to, 8:45 before school and, whatever. And, like just like in all these different crafts. as an actor, like part of your brand also, just talking technically, is that like you are kind of worldly, and if you want to have a long career of over decades, maybe you'll get lucky and like, yeah, you're just that type and you just really fit that type. But if you want to sustain over many, many, many years, there's going to be the ups and downs, and there's also going to be like, you're going to have to increase your world and your interests and your range and scope of like what is possible
What is this
for
life
myself as a
experience?
human. Yeah. And then especially on film, like the camera is going to capture that. I think it's going to capture like, is this person just an actor? Like, oh, look at that actor.
Yeah, and who wants to just be an actor? I mean,
Yeah.
listen again.
And then your acting sucks if you're just an actor. I feel like, you know,
I think
like,
it's limited.
I mean, that's your profession. Yeah. I was, the SAG Awards, I just remember, was it the SAG Awards or one of the award shows this season where Jennifer Coolidge, you know, she just gets up there and like, I love her.
Yeah.
She's just like, she really does acknowledge like, you know, maybe this is it, you know, this is it, like this moment. Like I feel like she gets that like, this is a moment that's happening now. And she's had a long career and she'll continue to have a long career. But I think that's so important to acknowledge, like,
Talk about
that
dry
in
spells,
those highs, in those highs, it's like, it is possible that this is it, right? And to no fault of your own, you know? And like, that's the thing that's the lie that we're told, even in some acting classes and in, you know, growing up, it's like,
Some
it's
control.
all in your hands. Like everything is in your control. And I think once you relinquish that, this is my personal experience. You know, I don't want to invalidate people who are out there fucking manifesting their lives, because please, like, that is also important.
Yeah.
But it's also like, yeah, like you said, it's you got to have some humility and some reality on like, okay, these are the opportunities. And if you're smart, if you continue to get opportunities, you can continue to at least stay on that level and continue to get more opportunities and then level up as you change. That is absolutely true. I don't want to say that.
And you've
that's
done
not.
that. You are like such a perfect encapsulation of exactly that, of highs, lows, through it all, an actor, performer, musician, working it out year by year, month by month with your partnership, with your family, you know, immediate and extended. I think it's really wonderful.
But wait, Aalok, dearest, sweetest, spirit child of the universe here to bless us all, wait, I have to interrupt you.
Help me. I need some help.
And now it's time for listener questions.
I'm so scared.
This listener question is brought to you by Self Tapes Here. Jeff Pride is awesome. Jeff Pride is a session runner. I use Jeff Pride myself. He is a coach. He is a love. He is so talented. Message Jeff on Instagram at Self Tapes Here. Everyone I know who works with Jeff is like, Audrey, Jeff is so incredible. And I'm like, I know. He's available in person if you want to go to see somebody in person, because you work better with somebody in person. He's got a great studio in person. He welcomes you. And he's available virtually. Message Jeff on Instagram at Self Tapes Here. All right, call us with your strike stories or questions at 667-ACTOR-70. That's 667-ACTOR-70.
Hi, Audrey. My name is Spencer Morgan. I'm based in Los Angeles. My question for you is, how can an actor use a project for momentum? I do have reps, and they do pitch me when they are submitting me, and I truly do feel grateful that I have a team of people that are able to do that for me. But I want to add, is it appropriate to email casting directors on my own if I feel like we do have a good, healthy relationship with what I've been working on, since postcards are no longer a thing and they are no longer in the office? What are your thoughts? Thank you so much, and I really appreciate everything you're doing. Okay, bye-bye.
Hi there. Thanks so much for this question. Yes, getting your face and presence in front of casting directors is challenging when they don't have offices anymore. In terms of emailing them, many casting offices have professional casting emails, meaning it's like castingoffice@castingoffice.com. So if it's something kind of general, kind of generic, something like that, and you want to send an email to that, they have their email address out there on the web, I say go for it. If it's something like a specific name, if it is like Audrey Moore at castingdirector.com. And that is something that seems to be a little less available on the web, or maybe you got it from somebody, you got it from a connection. I want you to know I have been yelled at. I have been reamed. My reps have been yelled at and reamed for sending casting directors emails that were going to their actual email address and it wasn't appropriate. So what you need to do is make sure you find the appropriate email address on the webs. Also, social media is great. They do check their DMs. That's a great way to do it. A lot of people are doing classes, they're doing coaching, they're doing all those sorts of things, however you feel about that. If there is an email attached to that, please email them. Let them know what's happening. Also, depend on your agents. Like, agents are really great. If you don't think that you would recognize the casting director at the grocery store and they would recognize you, I just say be professional and go through the right channels.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Okay, tell everybody your social media. Where can they find you?
Oh, social media. I am on Instagram.
Spell it.
I think it at Aalok S Mehta, AALOKSMEHTA.
Great.
I believe my Facebook profile is also
Nobody's on
that.
Facebook.
Yeah,
You
no
old
one's on
man.
Facebook?
You old
Okay,
man.
no one's on Meta.
Facebook. No one's on Meta. Okay.
yeah.
And what is the longest that you have ever gone, to your recollection, without booking like a union gig?
Well, I've been lucky enough to just do like commercials.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
like, so like there's probably a year,
Yeah,
a year where I
about
didn't book a commercial, but many years between theatrical TV. I had probably done some independent films, which some were good and whatever in that period, but I would say 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah.
And this is after having been on Broadway
Yeah.
and having been a lead in a film that won awards and, you know, supporting myself completely through acting. And that is real. And that's the same period in which, like, I lost my shit and I was like, you know, maybe this is over.
Have you and or your wife ever had a year or few where you lost your health care through the unions because you didn't make enough money?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Great.
Yes.
See, I'm asking that because everyone's always like, I mean, I didn't make my health care. And I'm like, listen, it is coming for all of us. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Absolutely.
I tell people, Sharon Stone didn't qualify her for her health care in 2019. And she was very vocal about it. And she worked. She was on Ryan's show. And it came out the year after, something with the math, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And she
Or
didn't.
maybe she didn't work for a few years.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Like the residuals, but that's
they
crazy to
cap.
me that the residuals were, yeah. Oh, is
Well,
that
there's
what it is?
That's what happens. They cap your residuals at a certain point that they no longer go into your healthcare or pension. So
After
like,
what, like 20 years or something?
no,
Is it
it's
30?
an amount of money. I think it's $250,000.
Oh,
So,
gotcha.
like,
From
if-
that particular job.
From that particular job.
Each individual. Okay, yeah. So Basic Instinct was not
Exactly.
working
It's
out for
not
her in that
making
part.
any more money for her.
No,
that
no.
qualifies for pension and health. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. What does success look like to you?
See, I can't separate like success as a person, success as an actor.
I think
Like,
that's good.
just- I would
That's what I'm
say-
asking. Yeah.
I think it's just like being able to do what you love to do. And if you're not able to do what you love to do, just being grateful and having a good life for my family, you know, just being able to provide enough so I can get my kids well educated so then they can then have the tools necessary to then have a nice loaded deck of cards, you know, as they go into adulthood. You know, just shepherding them and helping them become good humans and just being happy, just being able to like kick back and not worry so much about what's going to come next. Being truly in the moment and being surrounded by love.
I mean, that's it, right? If we can be surrounded by love.
This is wonderful
great
too.
fingers.
This moment right here. This is wonderful. You know, being on your show, and it's not. You know, you asked me to be on the show before I revealed the news to you that I became a series regular. You know, it wasn't even about that. You know, it was just about like us kind of knowing each other, and I think you valuing that. My journey may be what a lot of people are going through and have gone through, and that's, you know, that's huge too. Just like community.
Yeah.
And really feeling that how it spreads and how you can really help somebody just by sharing your
experience,
story and experience. That's awesome.
I love it. I normally ask the question, what do you wish someone had managed to teach you or get you to understand when you were just a wee babe entering this business? But I think we should do it differently. I think let's do, since we've known each other for so long, I'm gonna say what I wish I had been able to convince little baby Aalok when he was entering this business. And then I want to hear what you would convince Audrey when she was a little baby actress in this business. Okay?
Stop peeing in your pants.
Oh, shit. You can't have... Just know, hanging out with Aalok goes between all the peaks and valleys of complete sincerity to absolute chaos. Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. Okay, I would tell...
So wait, am I talking to Audrey, baby Audrey, or am I talking to baby Aalok?
You're
and are we
to...
babies? Do we look like babies, but we're older? Is this like Boss Baby? Or are we just like
no? It's like Audrey that you met in acting class.
Yeah,
and whatever year that is.
I would say keep doing what you're doing, girlfriend, because your casting is your. I would say, and you discovered this, and I think you knew this, that like you always played a little older than you physically were, you know, because like it was unrealistic for somebody who looked the way you did younger in your 20s to like behave the way you did necessarily, because you were very like worldly and, you know, kind of like a old soul, and your acting was like that. And I knew like that the roles would catch up. And I would say Audrey kind of did it right in a way. Like you truly were like killing it with your craft and your scene work, and you really did train in a way where that was not an issue. That was not an issue. Like your acting was not going to be an issue on whether or not you booked. So like I wouldn't say much different other than like just trust and enjoy the ride, because you're a badass and people are going to be lucky to have you on set and in their lives.
I wish I would have heard you. I would tell Aalok that you are much more capable than you ever imagine yourself to be.
Thank you.
Yeah. Because I think part of what happens is we get into these droughts or roadblocks or just life happens, and it feels overwhelming and it feels destructive, because often it is. You're going through destructive things, and you and your family, you are just such outstanding problem solvers, and you show up for yourselves and you show up for each other in such a beautiful way. So I just wish that I could bestow upon you the knowledge of how incredibly capable you are.
Thank you. I was supposed to take the laundry downstairs, and I didn't do that. So, you know, I didn't quite. And Anisha,
well, that's why she gets mad at
she had
you,
told me
she
several
knows,
times. Yeah,
she knows how capable you are, and yet
exactly.
You don't make complicated dinners, and you don't do the laundry.
No, you know this. I am the short order cook of the family, which is necessary. You need somebody to just like whip up the mac and cheese and PBJ, just like stat, you know.
She didn't marry you for your cooking skills, that I'm sure.
No. I have improved. I had, you know, necessity is the mother of invention, and she works a lot. But yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
I think it's sometimes when you have that like belief that you're like, you kind of deserve more than you're getting, and that you're underachieving in those moments, it can really go that dark way where you just have like a chip and you start becoming jaded and you're like, fuck that actor, I'm better than them, you know, like why'd they book that job? And that is a very toxic space. I would, and I would say overall, I don't think I ever really had that as like my baseline, but certainly we all have moments of that, you know, and some of that can be healthy and been like, okay, you know, I'm good, or I can, you know, I know that I will deliver, but yes, you know, I appreciate that, because there was many, many years as like a musician turned into an actor, didn't go the conventional route. I definitely, up until probably like very recently, and I'm talking like the last year, maybe, I finally now don't think of myself as like a better musician than I'm an actor. And it mainly because I just don't care about that distinction anymore. Who you are is more important than like the craft in which you express it, through which you express it. So that is, but so many years I like told myself, and maybe because of the journey, that like, oh, I'm a musician first, And people ask me what you do. It's like, oh, I'm a musician actor, like I would always say that in that order. And now I'm like, I'm an actor. I'm in a series. And it's not just the validation of that. It's like, it's really, I think it was the booking, the Rebecca Miller movie when, and I got on set and I'm there and I'm working with somebody I really admire, and I was having a little bit of a freak out, and I had to just like a month tell myself like, you were here because you booked it, and you booked it because you can act.
Yeah, right.
Right. And like,
right.
And you're good because, I remember hearing stories about like, even like Barbra Streisand, who's like Barbra Streisand would still like throw up before going on stage.
Yeah.
And, even after she's won Tonys and Oscars and all that stuff or whatever, that never goes away really sometimes, for most people, what you just said, just trust that you're good. And if you can't, at least have your craft good enough that you can still deliver.
Fake it.
Deliver the pizza.
Fake it till you make it, right?
Fake it, yeah. Fake it. Be it, till it.
Assume the position.
And more so. Exactly, yeah. Exactly.
Mildly interesting. I'm going to start, because it's my podcast, I can do what I want to. I'm just going to recap this episode of what I think has come to me as a understanding through this conversation, which I'm really grateful for, is the recognition that your talent level does not always coincide with your income level. And that's okay. And that doesn't mean that you're bad or that you're wrong. It's just part of the fickle nature of this business. And I would argue probably true in many businesses, but just to understand and to bring some soothing to people that if you're experiencing, because you're in a place where you feel like your talent level is not coinciding with your income level, just know that's okay, and that goes in cycles, and it's okay if it's okay.
Absolutely. I think that's important, but also not to be like doom and gloom about it too, because it really, like, obviously your output is everything in terms of like, not necessarily, you can't control that it will certainly yield results, but it will certainly yield your personal experience. At least you'll feel like you didn't leave a stone unturned, and I think that's important. I don't want to be like, it's all all God's will.
Yeah,
and,
right.
You have
right.
that's by that no means what I want to people to walk away from with this. Keep listening to Audrey Helps Actors. Find your own way. That's the other thing I would say to like young, both of us, is like sometimes like the group you're in, whether it's an acting class or whatever it is, whatever group you're in, you can really get into like that sort of like group thought process and that this is the way, but it really is just this is my experience for 20 years. Like, it really is different for everyone. It's like, listen to Audrey Helps Actors, listen to other podcasts, and like find your own path and what works for you. And if like the volume of auditions and bookings and that ratio spins you out, like find something else to like, learn from this. And at the end of the day, it's like, it is a process. Like the thing that it's hard to fall in love with is like, it's hard to, in theory, you can be like, I love every audition that I don't book,
right.
And like, but like, yeah, if you fucking hate that and, like feel that and like, let it flow through you, like let it sit with it and sit with that moment where you turn on the TV and you're like, oh my God, I nailed this audition and this, I'm going to pretend to be supportive. And like, if you have a moment of like, fuck that person, like experience it and then see, just let it flow through you. But yeah, it's not all rosy.
It's not all rosy. I always ask this question, as you may know, to anyone with any melanin in their skin, such as yourself. Do you have anything that you would like to say about representation, your representation in the industry? I give to you this mic.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's like a whole podcast in itself, but like, yes, I mean, I have a lot of thoughts about a lot of this stuff too. Like I I would, okay. And an actor did tell me this when I was starting out. Ajay Naidu, actually, who was he was an excellent actor, and he was in the first film I did. And he was saying to me, but this is back in 2000, book the part, even if it's written in a way that may not be what we now will call, maybe it was written through like the white gaze, or not necessarily written in a way that is sensitive. Like, don't just like turn down the audition. And even if it's like the representation of your culture is like a tokenization, if you get on set, then you are in more power to change that and say, okay. And in those days, there was a lot of like cab drivers and convenience store clerks and all that. But it's like, you can change that and give that person depth, and that you may be more cog in the wheel of making people perceive your ethnic group differently. Yes, I mean, there's things that are just like wildly offensive, and it's empowering, and you should pass on things that maybe in 2023 don't belong.
Yeah.
So, things have changed, but I do think that for South Asian actors, there are more and more opportunities now. There still is like a certain model minority stereotype that exists out there, but doesn't mean that you have to perceive yourself as an actor to fit in within that. Get in the room and do your best work, and you'll have, I think, more power to then shape what that perception is of, our people. And nowadays, I think we're in a better place where people are being seen a lot more independent of their ethnicity or gender. And I think, things have changed. It's still not a reflection of the real world. Sometimes people will say, like, I'll hear, friends, who are Caucasian actors who are like, I can't even get shot, it's like, there's nothing for me. They're going diverse and, things like that. But and they'll feel like it's an overcorrection. And, I think if you actually look at the statistics, that's just not true. Yeah. Like if you look at the actual percentage of, and the breakdown of ethnic groups within media, and then as a reflection of the real world, it's still not analogous to like how many non-white people there are. So it's I am grateful the time I'm like, I look at a lot of young South Asian actors now, and they'll often be like, just connect to the struggle. And it's every generation has this, well, when you have no idea when I was a kid, and I'm that guy now. It's like, you have no idea,
what
like
I've been through.
Yeah. And it's like some of the incredibly offensive stuff that I've, had to say in auditions and all that. So it is, it's changed. And also I would say, and I'm seeing a lot of ethnic groups do this. It's like, great. Okay. We're booking more parts, but it's still like hiring somebody who wasn't written to be Indian or black or something. And that's not, if it's not central to the writing, then like, that's fine. But oftentimes things are just like I'll get like a pilot audition or something, and it'll be like, or I had an audition for a recurring guest star on a show that was like this, I knew I was getting the audition because like we're in 2023 or 2022 at the time. And it was like, the character was so white Midwestern on paper and like actually in the story, like, but like an Indian guy could be that too today,
Sure.
So I coming from a different era had this like perception of like that, but like now here we are as immigrants, like post 1965, the African Americans paved the way for immigration, the Immigration Act. Like we've been here. A lot of us have been here. My dad left India in 1965. Like we are now like Americans and part of this landscape. So we could be that Midwestern teacher,
For sure.
And I would say approach each audition in a way that's not like immediate knee jerk, like, let's see how offensive this is. Because then you're maybe shutting yourself off to the possibilities of like, how can I be the arbiter of change? Listen, it is empowering, like I said, to pass. You should pass on some things, but I think we have more power when we're part of that conversation. When you just say no, then you're just saying no. So that's what I would say. Maybe this is unpopular, but
no, I think it's great.
Experience.
I'm all about as many experiences as possible, and I think, just like anything, every audition is different for any number of reasons.
also, that's the other thing. Like, if you're in the role, this is the other thing I would say. Have the courage to like change and be like, hey guys, by the way, like this is not an Indian name. It makes no sense. And if you want the character to be Indian, like here are some names I suggest. Like I suggest doing that. Anisha did that too. Like even on Outsource, like after she booked it and was like shooting the pilot, she had to tell them, and they were very open to it. Like this is, by the way, this name you've chosen is not an Indian name. It's a Japanese name, but here are some Indian name options. And they're like, oh, great. And they went with it because they also don't want to be like,
right.
Yeah. I would say just don't be so quick knee jerk to like call out racism when sometimes it is ignorance. And yeah, maybe it is racist to have the privilege to not have to do the research. Yes, in a systemic way, but be the change.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Rather than just the rejection of it.
Yeah. That's great because you've had a real journey with all of that. I mean, I have watched you through much of it, and so I'm glad we got to even at least touch on it. Okay, I love and adore you. I know you have a full day. I'm going to let you go. Please tell that wonderful family of yours that I love them and miss them. If we go on strike, I think I'm going to hit up New York, and I will see you guys there.
Oh, great!
We'll get our East Coast party on, I think.
Absolutely.
I want to go hug your children and go see plays with everybody. We're doing virtual hug movements.
But I'm keeping my arms like far away enough because I don't want to get my bust on people. That's the callback.
See, I'm doing it because you just have so much family to love. So my arms, it's like I have to.
I have gotten large in the pandemic.
No. There's 4 of you. Only to say that there are 4 of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. Tell everybody I love them, and I will let you know when this airs.
Thank you. This is awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you to Jesse.
The real MVP of this fucking life.
Yeah, he's awesome. And I just love you guys, and you guys are just like it warms my heart to know that we are connected. There he is. Okay, I can see him. I can see Jesse now. Well, love you guys, and
goodbye, my sweet love. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Okay.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Next week on Audrey Helps Actors, we've got Michelle Meredith, one of my most favorite self-tape May participants, one of the best self-tape May self-tapes that I have ever seen. So much so, I took that tape. I stalked her. I said, come on my show. Then a pandemic happened. And then eventually I had her on the show. And I am one of her biggest fans and biggest cheerleaders. She's so incredible. I am honored to know her and love her. So get ready. It's a great episode. Thanks so much to Aalok. Aalok, I love you so much. I hope you're having the best time in Texas. Feeling so chosen. You deserve everything in the world and more. You and your family are truly some of the very best people that have graced this planet. I am so honored to know you and love you. So thank you for coming into my life and being such a consistent, positive, beautiful presence. This episode was mixed and mastered by Thomas Snodgrass, produced by Jesse Lumen, my husband, still so handsome. He gets older and gets better looking. Fuck that guy. This episode was edited by Michael Morello. Show music by Ari De Niro. Theme song by Aalok Mehta and 108 Hill. And shout out to Matthew Patrick Davis as the mother of the review baby. All right, everyone. I don't know what the news is today, but I'm guessing it's strike time. Fight the power. Don't forget your towel.